This is a huge commission for me, one of my biggest I've ever done. It's a very serious project. It's gonna be a very serious painting. I'm so excited to start this painting. Like I said, it's one of my biggest oil paintings that I've been commissioned to do. It's an unbelievably gorgeous picture. I photoshopped it around a little to change the background, but you know, the photo speaks for itself. Beautiful lighting, beautiful composition, 2 foot by 3 foot canvas, Belgian linen, hand stretched, primed. Wow. So real quick, I want to talk about what I'm doing here. I'm using carbon transfer paper to transfer this deliciously huge picture of a Great Dane I printed out. And so for this specific project, I, as an artist and through my process, require, a perfect rubric, as good of a rubric, as good of a map as I can get. And I could have gridded this dog out using a grid. That's what a grid's for. You take something smaller, grid it out in a format, and then you format it bigger. And people know what grids are. I've done it dozens of times. I've actually done it for this exact painting. I made a little 12-inch study, a super rudimentary painting, just to see it, test a little colors, see some basic values, and just to get minorly prepared for this bigger painting. So, I could have done it, but, carbon paper just kind of removes that whole process and optimizes, me achieving the map I need to start a painting like this. I know I'm ranting, I didn't want to rant. That's my opinion. I don't think it's controversial or cheating at all, which some people seem to do, because I personally have the capabilities to draw this dog out if that's what it took, if I didn't have the carbon paper. But it's just a tool. It optimizes what I need to do, and it achieves what I need and what I require in the most efficient way. That's my view. Take it how you will. I would love to know what you think. Leave them in the comments. Start a conversation with somebody. I'm so excited to start this painting. Like I said, it's one of my biggest oil paintings that I've been commissioned to do. Little audible, people, I'm in my bedroom now. At home, I live with my mom at home, but it was just too cold at my studio. It's freezing, it's winter time. I have this huge new gas heater that should be amazing, but there's a lot of things to make it work. There's like plumbing, they had to do gas lines, there's electrical. Anyways, it's not ready, so my studio is way too cold to paint. I brought just some oil painting set up into this corner of my bedroom. I just wanted to say that, you don't need a studio to paint. I used to paint in this corner of my bedroom for a year before I had my studio. Even in Brooklyn, I used to paint on my bed in my little apartment. All you need is a canvas and some paint, some paintbrushes. You don't need a studio. You don't even need this nice easel. I'm just telling you that, and just to show you, this wide angle probably makes this corner look even bigger, but it's just quite a small corner, just enough for this chair, and that easel barely fits. But I just wanted to say that we got a bunch of work to do on this beautiful puppy, on this beautiful, gorgeous dog. I'm so excited. It's the biggest one I've ever done for a commission. I'm amped. Let's get started. lighting setup in my room is a little jank, but I'm doing my best. I wanted to fill you in, update you. It's been 8 to 10 hours, and I wanted to fill you in on the strategy, and I've broken this composition down into more manageable pieces. I like to do that. Background, trees, sky, then the foreground, the grass, and then obviously the dog. So those are like 3 different bodies to focus on individually. And then technically strategizing with oil paint. I've said this before, I fill the whole canvas with a layer of oil paint. That's like the first layer. That's my main objective. You know, I'm trying to stay loose, no detail, you know, basic value, basic form, and I try to nail the color. That's important, but it's very loose. I've rendered the dog a little, but I'm just trying to stay loose, and then let that all dry, do a second layer, more detail, more value of the tips, lights and darks, and then the final layer is the cream of the crop detail. But you know, I'm having a blast. It's very challenging. It's overwhelming. You know, I don't work this big, and so just using more paint on my palette, squeezing out of the tube, it's just so surprising how much paint I need. And I'm feeling kind of overwhelmed with the grass specifically, you know, whereas the dog is this very complex form, object, different light and shadows. You know, my brain, I can break that down into more manageable pieces and, you know, dissect that puzzle, whereas the grass is just this one major blob of weird pale color and slow gradients, and it's very confusing for me. So I'm foreshadowing that that's gonna give me some struggle, but you know, it's just amazing problem solving. It's so fun. It's a giant puzzle. I'm having a blast. I got so much work. So maybe we'll do another check-in after the first couple layers. Let's continue. So I'm noodling with these trees right now. I got this green, some brown, and I don't really know how to paint trees, you know what I mean? So I'm really just noodling. I have this reference here, but I'm putting in some shadows. And yeah, I just thought I'd mention that real quick because I don't know how these trees are gonna turn out. But what I definitely think is gonna happen is I'm gonna let it dry. Like I'm gonna do the dark and light side. You know, light's kind of coming from here, so shadow, then light, and I'll do it all like the first layer I was talking about. Fill it all in, and then I'll have time during the second layer once this all dries to kind of go back in, change either the shapes of like these pines or the even color of the shadow. I don't know yet, but I just thought I'd say that real quick because we're bouncing around, just noodling. So we're here, it's still cold in the studio, but you know, we're finished. This means we're complete with the painting. I just want to wrap this project up and talk about, you know, this epic project that I got the opportunity to paint. You know, this was the biggest oil commission I've ever received. It was the biggest oil painting I've ever done. It was also the longest I've ever spent on an oil painting. It was like my most serious project, and I'm so amped and happy with the outcome, not just the painting itself and not just the money and, you know, how big scale it was. It was kind of what it meant in my creative arsenal, in my history of being a painter, all the paintings I've ever done. I've never done a painting like this, so it's certainly a pillar, you could say, in my creative arsenal. And it took the last year of practicing oil painting by myself and really delving into it, taking it seriously. It was all kind of up to me and taking away little things from little studies, little portraits, really small commissions. And I used all of these things, you know, this big crock pot and amalgamation of all these little, you know, studies and tidbits and techniques. And, you know, I needed all of that from the past year in order to execute this painting that I just completed. So I think it was like the right timing. And that's like, for me personally, kind of analyzing myself as an artist, but you know, that's why I'm super amped about it. You know, I was so amped when I got the opportunity to start this project, and I did so much preparation, and you know, it was very organized. I saw the little, you know, color study, I did value studies, I did, you know, composing the original photograph that the patrons gave me, and, you know, composing it on the format of the canvas. It was all a huge production, the roller coaster throughout the painting. It was challenging, I was stressed, I was really happy, and it was just a gigantic puzzle, problem solving. I love it. That's why I love oil painting. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed kind of me sharing the process, letting you in to my experience. And if you like these videos, you should subscribe. I have hundreds actually on my channel. You know, follow me on Instagram if you want to see behind the scenes of kind of more up-to-date projects I'm working on. It ain't gonna stop. We got more coming, so stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.